Bienvenidos a la Universidad Austral de Chile, sede Puerto Montt, ubicada en el inicio de la carretera austral y una de las instituciones educativas más destacadas del país. El notable crecimiento de la ciudad de Puerto Montt y la región de los lagos ha generado una creciente necesidad de profesionales en la zona. A lo largo de sus 34 años de existencia, nuestra sede de Puerto Montt ha experimentado un desarrollo exponencial. Nuestra historia se remonta a 1989, cuando la Universidad Austral de Chile abrió sus puertas en Puerto Montt. Desde entonces, hemos crecido y evolucionado para convertirnos en la mejor opción de educación superior en la región, consolidándonos como un centro académico de relevancia en la capital regional, abarcando áreas fundamentales del conocimiento como las ciencias sociales, ciencias de la salud, ingeniería y tecnología y pedagogías. Nuestra universidad cuenta con 5 institutos, 5 centros, 17 carreras de pregrado, un programa de doctorado, una variada oferta de magísteres y diplomados. En nuestras aulas fomentamos la pasión y la excelencia, cultivando habilidades y talentos. Lideramos en investigación e innovación, estimulando la curiosidad y el espíritu crítico para ayudarte a alcanzar tus metas y construir un futuro brillante. Te ofrecemos un entorno único para aprender, crecer y explorar. Si buscas un lugar donde descubrir tu máximo potencial, la Universidad Austral de Chile es tu elección. Bienvenidos a la Universidad Austral de Chile, sede Puerto Montt, ubicada en el inicio de la carretera austral y una de las instituciones educativas más destacadas del país. El notable crecimiento de la ciudad de Puerto Montt y la región de los lagos.
Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning. For those who don't know me, because I have some exes here, students, I mean. My name is Albina Cifuentes. I am the coordinator of the Universidad Austral de Chile, sede Puerto Montt, of the area of English and languages. And we are very pleased to have you here. We are very happy for having the opportunity, and we are very grateful to the ESU organization to give us the opportunity to share with you, to become part of the net. That is very important for teachers, especially here in Puerto Montt, that we don't have those opportunities so often. So only good things we can get from this. So we are very happy, and I'm going to introduce you to Lina Lovejoy, Christine Everson, yes. And they are going to be our lecturers, and they are going to conduct the workshop. So, without much further ado, as Shakespeare said, let's get to it. So, Lina, thank you.
Thank you. Good. Good morning. As she said, I am here wearing the hat of English Speaking Union. When I first started the international circuit some 40 years ago, some of you could be my students as well. I started working in the international circuit. I was, of course, worked in the numerous areas in the United States, but I specifically traveled internationally. My husband is also a teacher. He teaches high school science. My area was much more in the humanities, as well as organizational for principalship and leadership to try and implement curriculum. We went international in the Canary Islands and traveled there for in the international circuit, you stay on contract for 2 to 3 years, and if you want to sign on again after that, typically you need to convince the people because they want a certain turnover in the international schools. So we stayed there for 3 years. If you stay much longer than that, you don't have the international contract, then you become local and you don't have the same benefits. Being international, you go to a capital city, and in that area, there's always people that English isn't the language of the household, but they need to learn English for communication. Because English is the language of communication. There's no getting around that. So they need to become comfortable with speaking not only casually, but also in a way that they can express their opinions. And that's why I started getting involved in English Speaking Union, because they want you to speak about current events, about things that are going on in the world, so that you can have those kinds of conversations with other people. It's the language of communication. Research. I've said to many, I'm a visitor here in this country, and I work at an international school, Milo de Aguilas, that has a lot of international people. But I haven't gone to a doctor that can't communicate completely fluently in English, because all the research is done in English. If they want to keep up in their field, they're going to have to know English past their own terminology. We've been up to the International Space Station in the north. Every country imaginable has a scientist there, but all the research that they're doing on outer space is done in English. If you want to communicate with anyone else, the reports are done in English. All the lawyers, I have no problem finding a lawyer to go to, because all the trade, all the international exchange, everything is done in English. Our competitions that we have, oftentimes we have judges from all different fields. We had, one of our judges was one of the football referees, because he wanted to get from the local that he did in Santiago and be involved in FIFA and all of the other things. He has to be able to communicate in English with all these different groups that come to the World Cup competitions. So really, it doesn't matter the career that you're in. Nowadays, really, English is the language of communication. And if we don't teach our youth English at a time when it comes easier for them, we're doing a disservice to them. And it's been my observation that many teachers don't get much past whatever workbook pages that they're doing. Fill in the blank, the matching, the one answer sort of stuff. So if you're really going to be comfortable with that language, you have to converse and be involved. Many students, I have found, learn their English from listening to music, because the music tells a story. It expands their vocabulary. Many of them watch movies. The sitcoms, actually, it's one of the things as teachers you can actually say, go ahead and watch TV. You watch a show that you already know the story, and you put it in English without the subtitles, because they know what should happen. And all the sitcoms, even if they haven't seen it before, is very common everyday language, and it's very easy way to learn their conversational Spanish or English. So they love it when you give them an assignment like that. 30 minutes a day to watch the TV program of their choice in English and show the paper to their parents that really this is my homework to do. They like that. So you can win them over on that. I became involved in the English Speaking Union when I traveled, as I said. First, we went to the Canary Islands for 3 years. Our next assignment, we went to Bahrain, and I was there for another 3 years. 3 years was enough time for an American woman to be in the Middle East. They were overly polite, but not welcoming to get opinions from a woman or an American. So it was a bit challenging. It was a bilingual school that half the day in Arabic and half the day in English. But these were all students that were from elitist families that planned to travel outside of the Middle East to do their university work. So it was interesting. And then we traveled to Chile. And upon coming to Chile, I realized the level of English here in Chile compared to going across to Argentina, up to Peru, Colombia, the level of English in the schools is quite a bit higher. The English here, they don't get past just the easy vocabulary that you learn from your themes, you fill in the blank, you matching things. They're not so comfortable with the give your own personal opinions and expanding on it. And I realized that it would be a very good program to be involved in, to encourage that. Because the English Speaking Union wants to support whatever is going on already in the school. It's supposed to be an enhancement of it. So before we do much else, I just want to tell you a little bit more about the ESU. I don't know if all of you are aware of the ESU and what's involved. I didn't know about the ESU before I came to Chile, and I've been in an international setting at numerous places. But the English Speaking Union was founded in 1918 to promote peace and greater understanding worldwide, and its goals specifically to promote education across the English-speaking world and beyond, respecting the traditions and heritage of those with whom we work, while acknowledging the current events and the issues that affect them. To use English as a means of international communication of knowledge and understanding. Now, this is back in 1918, before either of the two big world wars. That already they're seeing English as the language for international communication, which I find quite interesting. That's when it started. It really didn't get much momentum until about the 1950s. And at that time, ESU received a royal charter from Her Majesty the Queen, and she was the patron, and the late Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, was the president, and he was president during 1952 to 2011. Now, any of you that know of Prince Philip's background in history, he really liked public speaking. He liked current events, and this was a very good venue for him to talk and visit with people, his colleagues, because the royal family couldn't officially have an opinion on things, but you could in the form of an entertaining speech and hide behind that. So in all of the various events that he would go to, he encouraged the public speaking amongst all of his colleagues. And at the time, of course, the Commonwealth, they had all these small territories that English was not the language in the household, but they needed to have English because they were part of the Commonwealth, and all of their international trade, all of their communications, they had to have people past the upper elite who could speak on these comments and see what people in their various governments were agreeing to have happen in their territories. So it became very popular at that time. In 2011, Her Royal Highness Princess Anne, Princess Royal, took over the patron presidency of ESU. And in 2018, Richard Collingwood Selby founded the 2004 ESU Chile chapter. So it wasn't until 2004 that Chile got on board to be involved with the actual ESU and the worldwide competitions that are available. The Princess Royal did visit Chile in 2018, and she had a meeting with Jonathan Cullen, who was president of the ESU Chile at that time, and Anna Maria Tomasini was the vice president of ESU Chile at that time. Anna Maria is actually now the existing ESU president of Chile, the chair of our group, housed in Santiago. For those of you that aren't aware, ESU is a nonprofit organization. All qualified volunteers. They donate their time, they donate their expertise, and they bring the participants to the competitions. So we do like to thank our organizers for all of these events, and everyone here potentially can be a judge at one of our events. All of our events, the round one is now done on video. So it's very easy to be a judge because you can sit in the comforts of your own home and watch it as many times as you want to before you decide to send off the judging. And the other thing is that you're not the only judge. There's always a team of 3 or 4 people that watch the same participant. You never judge your own or schools that you're affiliated with in some way. And it gives you an opportunity to see what the judges are looking for in comparison to your students and see another handful of how they interpreted the same thing that you sent somebody to be part of the competition. So round one judges is very, very easy to be a part of and volunteer for. And Christine, stand up and take a bow. I brought Christine. Christine is in charge of getting all the judges for each of our events. And she lives in Villarrica. For quite some time, she was in Santiago and worked with Cambridge and has done many things with Britannica and that whole region. She's now the contact for you, so if you're wanting to get something organized, we will route the email to Christine and she'll be able to respond to you and knows the circumstances of the schools down here in the southern region. So, the activities that we have. Currently, ESU Chile has something that we call the ESU Journey. And it parallels with the 5 stages of language development. We have spelling bee, which really comes in your early production years when you're just learning to put words together. So the vocabulary, you need to learn the letter sound, and how to say that particular word. Particularly with Spanish speakers, the vowels, they mix up the E and I because they're opposite in English. A, E, I. Even the O, So it's important to start at that level, no matter the age. Basically, starting as a new language, you've got to have the early production of the words and the specific letters and their letter sounds. You got to start with that point. And we have competitions in spelling bee. Every year we have 6 major competitions, so we do spelling bees. The other thing that you develop after that is our duologue poetry recitation, and that kind of comes in stage 3, where now you're starting to put the words together, making sentences, and having some logic for how to use the word. But you don't have to compose it yourself. And most classrooms have dialogues in their workbooks that at each unit they are very comfortable with reading a dialogue and doing that with a partner and practicing your enunciation and pronunciation with the person sitting next to you. Very, very common sort of thing to do. We do that with our first and second graders. So we take a short dialogue that's about 10 lines long, and with a partner, they memorize it and say it and learn to say the words with expression and memorizing specifically the script. With the 3rd to 8th grade, we do poetry. So again, the poem's gonna tell a story in itself. So you need to find out, do you know how to say all the words? Do you understand all of the words? Then what words do you say with certain expression? And then you're ready to have an oral presentation of that. So that kind of comes in stage 3. Again, that doesn't have to do with the age of the person. It has to do with the development of their language. Then stage 4 is the intermediate fluency. And ESU has creative writing, where we give a competition under a certain theme, and they have to come up with 500 words to 1,500 words to develop a storyline, so that you actually have the beginning, the introduction of the characters, your problem, some conflict, some resolution, and end. So you have put the story together, an original written composition. That's different than interpreting somebody else's already written text. So that's the next level of development to be able to do something like that. Our public speaking competition involves writing your own speech, but then it's 5 minutes, and not only do you write it, but you have to say it out loud. So our creative writing, you don't have to read it to anyone else. You don't have to be comfortable with saying it out loud, but you do at least create an original story. By the time we do our public speaking, what you have to say, you have to be prepared to give to an audience. And that is a challenge in itself, a 5-minute speech in your native language to say and say well. And this, of course, is the influence from Prince Philip. This is the thing that he absolutely loved doing, having the impromptus or plan ahead what your speech is and talk about a current event. Now, once you're comfortable with that, ESU does have debate team, and then you're not only speaking aloud to a group, but you're part of a team. So there's 3 people on the pro team and 3 people on the con team. And many schools have after-school clubs with debate or Model United Nations, where you have to take on not only what you think the policy should be, but what that country is supporting. And they may or may not match with what you think. And the same with debate. You might be on the opposite side of what you think of the movement, and you've got to come up with actual research to support the opposite side of what you personally think. So those are much more highly developed stage. And again, it doesn't have to do with the age, it has to do with their comfortableness in using the language, choosing the vocabulary, and finding a way to express themselves. Because our motto is discover your voice. What you have to say about the issues that you hear about. Everybody talking all the time. So, if we look specifically at language development, we know that, according to the research, 3 months before birth, while you're still in your mother's womb, babies can start to hear their environment around them. At that time, their ears are developed enough to start working, and so consequently, every day, the last few months before birth, the baby can hear people speaking, and this is their first steps of language learning while they're still inside the womb. They learn melodies of the language. I don't know if you're aware, but Italian or Argentinian has much more of a melodic than the Chilean Spanish. There's a different kind of melody line or rhythm to it. They can pick up on that already. Later, in their first months or their first year after birth, of course, then they start adding the language and the meaning of the words or the sentences. That will come in the first year of their life. And of course, our ESU spelling bee parallels the language development at that stage with our spelling bee competition, the vocabulary words that students are introduced to through your syllabus that's given by the Ministry of Education here. And all of those texts meet the criteria to then have your own spelling bee competition with those words in your units that you already have. Our spelling bee that we actually have is based on words from themes that are supposed to be in the English program for that specific grade level. So even if they go to one of our competitions, these are not words that are going to, for the most part, be new to them until they get into the final rounds when we're trying to eliminate them and do words outside the range of what they've been introduced to. So, the brain provides us with this ability to learn and develop skills. And our brain, the speech and the language that it is originally from, there's certain parts of the brain that respond to this understanding to words and sentences. These areas are mainly located in two regions, the left side of the brain, and they're connected to the nerves. And the blue section on the diagram is thinking about words. The orange section is hearing words. The red section is saying words out loud. And the green section is then actually reading them. So those parts of the brain are already being developed in the first stages of being able to do spelling bees or reading your introductory dialogues and exercises in your workbooks. During the infancy and childhood stage, again, that could be later on if you're learning the language at a later age. The infancy of learning the language, you become more and more powerful in the ability to transmit information. And it's only when we reach our teenage years that with our mother tongue language, these nerve fibers stop developing. It's in the teenage years. So if you haven't introduced these things before your teenage years, you're missing out on the best opportunity to have it just absorbed through osmosis. Although infants already possess an important groundwork for language acquisition, more advanced language learning becomes possible as the brain continues to develop during your childhood. The nerve fibers connections in the brain change throughout our lives, as demonstrated at our ESU duologue participants. So at that stage, they are comfortable to do all four of the stages that original brain said. They can say it, they can hear it, they can read it, they know the knowledge and understanding of the words. All of that is coming together, and they're able to read a dialogue with expression already at age 6 and 7 for a language that is not their mother tongue. They've been introduced to it. So it's only when you reach those teenage years that many of these nerve endings stop developing and they start to decline. So again, I have to emphasize, in the United States, there's a lot of really good education programs. But really, for the most part, foreign language isn't introduced until middle school and high school. And that is very unfortunate. I've seen that be the case. There are isolated programs where people introduce it at an early age in bilingual programs, or introduce, you have the Sesame Street stuff where they're introduced when they're 3 and 4 years old to colors and images in English or Spanish or whatever you want to zap it to. But we are doing those students a disservice because the developmental stage before teenage years is when it's easy to do the language. We're first introducing a new language at a time when either you're a good pattern finder or you're not. And so it's very difficult for many of the students to first take it on at that point. I think here in Chile, it's been my observation that many of the things that are done in the classroom are really only at that 3rd, maybe 4th level of development, but you're not doing much in the 5th level of expressing and using their original thought. You're not taking advantage of that time period because the assignments in the workbooks don't encourage it. You're just working on getting through the workbook and through your syllabus. And that's where I think ESU competitions can really supplement and complement what you have going on in your classrooms. So the experts do believe that 3 to 7 years of age is the best time to introduce an additional language other than your mother tongue. And during the first 5 years of child development, the ability of the brain to learn language is unmatched compared to any other later stage. It's best for kids to learn this language by the age 10. Age 10 is going to be 3rd grade, 4th grade, depending on your levels. And the parents that want them to achieve fluency, many of them will send them to a bilingual school because they want them to have fluency. That means you have to get past that stage and come up with those activities in your classroom, or they won't get to that level 5 of being comfortable and fluent They're only going to stay with what's already on the workbook page sort of thing. The sooner you start this, the better the chances. Children learn languages, especially the pronunciation, more effectively and efficiently if they learn them early. That's all according to the research. That's not my ideas. All of this has been researched by many, many programs. And I think that if you want them to be comfortable with that, you need to have them express, and when they're younger, make mistakes and just be corrected by each other on the pronunciation or the sentence structure, and create a safe atmosphere for them to try that. That it's okay to just try and have everybody do it. Many of the activities, you have a whole classroom of 30, 40 kids, and you don't have a chance to practice saying things out loud, even within your workbook. And you need to practice with partners, buddying up, and say the same thing to each other. And then go back and do a group activity. And then when you come to a passage, have them turn to the person sitting on the other side of them and buddy up and practice saying it out loud. Maybe they'll do it right, maybe they won't, but they have to practice saying it out loud or they'll never speak. They'll always silently let somebody else do that. There's always a couple of people in the room that are comfortable with that and always volunteer. But if you want everybody to be comfortable with that, you need to change your structure in your classroom so that you do things with partners, little trios, small groupings, so that they get a chance to practice saying it out loud and be comfortable with how it sounds. It's very important to do those kinds of things. So as demonstrated with our duologue and poetry recitation, the participants can select a passage, deliver the text, show their understanding and put some expression into it, and be judged on their pronunciation and enunciation of the text. There's no problem in doing that at that age level. By the time you get to stage 4, you have intermediate. This is the actual writing, as opposed to just recognizing isolated words and understanding short sentences. Now it's, can you do short sentences, short paragraph, and develop that on your own? After you've heard something in your unit, can you come up with an original idea? Expand that. And many people are afraid to give an open-ended assignment like that because they're not sure if it was a good sentence themselves. They might be insecure in their own understanding of English. But you need to allow them to take the chance and see how it sounds. They need to practice saying things out loud. And now with the computers, you can say it into the computer, and the computer will say, well, I would change it this way. I would do this sentence. And press a button, and they'll pronounce it correctly by a native speaker that says the correct pronunciation. So there's a lot of opportunities now to actually take advantage and do these things. But at this stage, students are starting to think and form their own responses in a new language. And at this stage, they continue to develop much more complex reading and writing assignments. By the end of this stage, most of them will have learned at least 6,000 different words and meanings. And if you look at the back of your textbooks, you'll see typically there's somewhere between 100 and 200 words in each grade level that have been introduced. So to get to 6,000 means they're going to have to be expanding more than what's been in the workbook. And they're speaking more fluently and continuing to improve on their reading and writing abilities if you're allowing them to do that in your classroom. If you have short times that you stop talking and you turn and say, okay, turn to the person next to you and read that paragraph together. Just practice saying it. You have to do that any given time within your lessons. You see them for 30 minutes. At least 5 to 10 minutes of that time should be your students practicing saying something out loud. Not just listening to you or reading something. Every single one of your lessons, short little things that you just covered with them, have them practice saying it out loud. Otherwise, they're not going to be comfortable with the reading. They're not going to be ready to write something. The ESU Creative Writing Competition is a perfect event if you have students that are ready for this level, or at least to try. Again, the competition is for juniors and senior students to write a short story, a draft, and have a final version according to an impromptu story or theme that's given. If you practice doing these kinds of things, you can have everyone in your class write a story about a prompt, a picture, an idea, whatever comes to mind, share with each other. Again, it's written. They don't even have to say it in the video. Your students can compete in the creative writing by just sending off an attached email of the story. So you did it with everybody, and the students can judge each other and decide who in the class should we send off for the competition. So that everybody's involved, and you actually find out there's people that you didn't realize the ability that they had, and maybe they didn't even realize. They're surprised themselves that theirs was selected. Stage 5, the development is comfortableness and fluency.
Sorry, I have a question.
Sure.
Is the topic given, or is it, do they have to write free?
In the competitions, the topic is always given. In the public speaking competition, the theme is given, and then at the semifinals, they have to do impromptus on the spot. The same with the creative writing. The theme is given, whatever the theme is going to be that year, and then whoever comes to the semifinals and finals will be given a topic there that they have to write on the spot that day. And they have a workshop, 3 hours, and they submit something, and the judges are reading that while we do other activities with the students. So the winner is announced after the judges have read them.
And what about the poems?
The poems are all selected, and you'll see later this morning, I'll give an example of a year and how we do that. Okay? So with the stage 5 development, the public speaking, the debate, the Model United Nations, this stage is something that could take a while to get there, depending. The age levels is going to really vary according to how much they have done with what they've been introduced. Here, the second language learners continue to develop their language and achieve the accuracy with increased complexity and social problematics. So the kinds of things that they're introduced to are things they're going to have heard in the news. It's not going to be a new topic, but they may not have much of an opinion. And then when they start listening to their classmates or what they've found in research, they can develop an opinion. The ESU offers this stage for public speaking, for team debate, and showing somebody else's opinion with local model United Nations. Craig House has a Craig moon. I understand St. George had a dragon moon this year. So typically, regionally, there are 2 or 3 during the year that you can go to regionally, and then you can do international competitions as you see fit. So, as I said, the spelling bee is offered, and we think this is a good introductory development level. We have 6 main competitions that we involve the students with. Spelling bee is the first one, and typically, by popular belief, the spelling bee doesn't actually have anything to do with the insect, the bumblebee, but that has its own controversy of problems that are happening with the bumblebees right now in the environment. But it really is the gathering of individuals to unite a common purpose. So that's why, again, you want to have an opportunity to set up for success. You want at least the first rounds, the first half of your spelling bee, to be words that everybody knows. They're words from the unit that you just finished. They're words that they've had in the past. You don't want to throw any surprises. Then, later on, you can involve the competition idea. And again, it's very important at a young age that they learn that everybody wants to win. Everybody wants the gold. They want the first place. But that's not the way the world works. There's competition in all of our jobs. And so if we're not giving them opportunities, like in your classroom, in your little spelling bee, they're so emotionally upset because they didn't get first place, or they didn't get one of the medals. So again, I think we're doing them a disservice by not giving them that competition level. So first set it up for success and have words that they know, and then later you introduce words that maybe they should know at that age level, but they haven't been introduced in your classroom. But they're easy words to decode or things to do. And by their last rounds of your spelling bee, then you throw in words that are for 1 or 2 grade levels higher, that they wouldn't necessarily be words that they should be available, but bright kids can deduce things and work your way through. Again, you often find out that there are certain ones that are better pattern finders in the room than you thought. You think should represent. Celebrate the spelling prowess. It actually engages thousands of children worldwide. It's a very popular competition. The realms of reading and writing, and in the era where formal spelling instruction occupies a diminishing role, somehow it's become not popular to do that. Somehow it's become not popular to do that. They want more thematic, fun things to do. In traditional education, it's important, and the spelling bee has actually kind of surged and resurfaced. So here's some dates on the competitions that we have here in ESU. This year, we will have the 24th of May is when we had the registration, and the 6th of June, we had rounds for the 3rd and 4th grade at the British Royal School. On the 7th of June, we had the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade at one of our schools in Chicureo. And on the 27th of September, coming up, we will have the 1st and 2nd graders at the same time that we have our duologues, and that'll be hosted by Colegio Verbo Divino in Los Condes area. So you actually have the opportunity to get some of your first and second graders involved in this competition if you'd like to do that with your class. The duologue and poetry, as I said, will be happening locally, and if you want to see examples of past students and what they've done, you can go to the webpage and call that up, and the link that says Voices are all the winners for that event, and if you go to For Schools, it's all of the specific guidelines and rules. Again, both the duologue and the poetry, if you look at the dates, you can see not only the duologue, but if you are interested in the poetry, which we're going to go into a little bit more depth, you don't have to have your decision on who would represent your classroom until the 4th of October, which is when you send your online example of the poem that they selected for your school, for your grade level. So within your school, you can have one student in 3rd grade, one in 4th, one in 5th, one in 6th, 7th, 8th. You can have one participant for each grade level from your school. The creative writing competition, again, for the juniors, it's age 12 to 15, and the seniors 16 to 19. And this competition already took place this year. Typically, we have it within the first semester. And this year's competition, April, the theme is announced, and it was the opposites and the age groups. And then in May, round 1, judges looked at the videos, or what was, in that case, the attachment that was sent in. The finalists were announced, and then the 8th of June, we have a workshop at a local school. This particular year was at the Mayflower. That rotates to different schools, different years. And we take the top 10 candidates in in the junior category and the top 10 in the senior. So there's 20 students that come for a workshop during the day. As I said, the theme is always announced ahead of time for the first round, but then at the workshop, they have to come up with a new theme that's given on the spot. In the past, it's my understanding that the creative writing, the poetry, and the public speaking have all been done in the southern region separately, and then your top candidates are sent off to the competition in Santiago. So something like that, of course, can be organized and arranged with us very easily. I said the public speaking competition happens every year. This one is particularly complex because it always happens in March at the beginning of the school year here. It's based on the Northern Hemisphere calendar because May, June is the end of the year when all of your students are at their best to perform. And so what we're proposing to schools, and we'll go into a little bit more in the afternoon on this, that if you do a competition in September, October, November with your students, and you get a short list and you have 4 or 5 students that did a 5-minute speech on the topic that you gave them, then you can say, all right, when we get our theme in December or January, which everybody's on holiday, but you can send to them and they can be thinking about what they would do for their next original speech according to that theme. So when school starts in March, you've got 2 or 3 weeks to help them figure out their speech and find out which one from your short list of the 4 or 5 will then go on and represent your school. So if you want to be doing this kind of competition, you actually have to be doing it this time of year to get your short list, because otherwise you come back and you have new students in March and it's like, no, we can't do that, we can't send anybody. So we have to change around how we do that, because the deadline is always in March, because later in April, we will have our local competition and prepare whoever we select to represent Chile to go to London and represent Chile. In the past, we have had, this year, Cristobal was from Concon, so the winner isn't always from the Santiago area. 2 years previous to that, it was from La Serena up in the north, the winner that we sent. 2 years ago was from Cumbres in Santiago, so it's not always from the Santiago area, but they've always done very well. 2 years ago, our student actually was quite good and made it all the way to the final heat, the top 6 in London. So debate workshops, again, we encourage you to get an after-school club for both middle school level as well as high school level, so that you have a chance to interact with the students throughout the year. And if they want to be part of the competition, the actual ESU competition is always later in September, October, November, with given topics for both the middle school and the high school level. So this year's competition, the first one will be September 7th, October 5th, 19th, November 9th. You can find out what those topics are, and even if you're not sending them to Santiago, you can simultaneously have your own friendly matches going on here in the South, so that they're ready to maybe next year join in for the competition. The same with the Model United Nations. There's lots of local examples. I don't know if there's one in the Southern Cone, but you certainly could organize one easily enough and have them do their own little mock version and represent the countries. So these are the specific events that will be scheduled for this academic year. And I think that it's important to know you can actually involve your students in any of these activities. Things on the web page are all posted, and you can do those activities, whatever the theme was the previous year. There's workshops available, examples. There's a lot of things that you can do with your students. And I think before we go any further, I would like you to just turn to the person on your right or your left, and little groups of 2s and 3s. I would like you to introduce yourself and say, what do you do for public speaking with your students? What are you already doing with your students? And what do you think you should add? Okay, and we'll just take a couple of minutes to interact a little bit. Partner up with 2s and 3s, turn around, get somebody, if you wanna get somebody that's new to you, you can get up and move around a little bit, and then we'll sit back down. Groups of twos and threes, twos and threes. Twos and threes. Introduce yourself, if you don't know that person.
Okay, and you? That's here. I don't know everybody was there, and we were quite few people when I come to this. She just like to look. The school Yep. I think it was, so it was, I always say the first choice something. Like, so we don't always relate to the language. And that was is yours going to take much time?
In my the way I work, I use the books because I have a base here, so I have to
Okay. If you didn't get a chance to have everybody share, we'll have other times. You'll be able to reintroduce yourself and finish. We gotta get through a couple of things before our guest students arrive. So we will have an interactive session, and I want to make sure I cover a couple of things. This morning's activity, I want to concentrate specifically on poetry and do-along competition. And you all received some handouts. These handouts are actually available on our website. But if you go to our ESU web, there's a spot, as I said, event voices, and if you click there, you're gonna see past winners and examples of, so you can hear them doing their presentations or see their stories. If you click on 4 schools, you're gonna get all the information on how to do the activity ahead of time, helpful hints and ideas. So if you click on either poetry on your grade level, you're gonna get more information about that particular event. And when you go there, there's a template that pretty much has the same information, the general dates or the theme that happens to be that particular year, the registration form, the handbook on all the specific guidelines and rules, The rubric that the judges use, which is much more detailed than maybe you want to do. To the rubric, oftentimes there's shorter versions to use with your students that have the same main idea, but not quite as detailed. Suggested lesson plans. There's videos, past workshop presentations, lesson plans that you can print out, handouts that you can get. And at the bottom, we have something called the badges for each of our event. If you want to do a full unit, you can earn badges for level 1, level 2, and level 3, where you are introducing the idea, then you're researching and practicing, and actually getting ready to send off something for the competition. So you can do all the way through. Each one of those badges has 5 or 6 activities. You can put that up on your bulletin board and check off everyone in your list as they're doing the things, and everybody can get their virtual badge. Kids love that stuff when you do that. And if you want to do a whole unit on it. Every one of our events has kind of this format. So if we look at the poetry, as I said, you can go to video presentations on taking you through each one of the lessons and how to do that. You can watch that ahead of time to get ideas yourself, or if you want, you can put it up on the screen and have the students have the guest speaker introduce the idea, and then after you work the room. Or you can call up the actual printout of it and view it, download it, print it, whatever you want to do with that. Both versions are available on the line. So, with your handouts, this is the first one that you have. These, as I said, are all available on the website. So if you like them, you can go to the website, download, put it on your computer, print copies of it for yourself or colleagues, whatever you want to do with any of these materials. I selected a couple of them to take you through introducing the idea, okay? So first of all, as the teacher, you need to know about when you're going to do a poem or a dialogue. You have to first preview it, then read it out loud, and you can do a couple of different activities so that each time you're reading with something different in mind. Talk about visualizing those images, clarifying the words and the phrases, and then evaluating what was the poem, what was the idea, what was the essence. When you delivered it, did your audience get that idea? As you said it, did they realize it was a sad story? Or were they laughing? At the funny parts, did they actually know they were supposed to laugh? Did you convince your audience? Because this isn't just reading by yourself in the corner. You're engaging the audience. The audience should get the message. Okay, so we want to teach them that sort of thing. Then in the handout itself, again, all of this is available online. The first thing that you want to do is choose a poem. This happens to be, a dialogue. You do the same process whether it's a dialogue or a poem. So you take the dialogue, and this happened to be one of them that was used in 2022. The theme was friendship, so all of the dialogues that year, all of the poems happened to be about friendship. So first, you read it out loud with the students, and you find out, is there anything that they don't know what it means? Is there anything that maybe they're not sure how to pronounce? Again, you want to set it up for success. So the first time around, you are the guinea pig and you say it. So you be sure that you're comfortable with saying, "Hi, I like your backpack. It's so colorful." You've read it ahead of time so that you can read it and say everything correctly for them. They're following along on their paper, and they're going to circle anytime they come to a word that they're not sure what it is, so that they're engaged while you're doing this. On the same paper that they have, after you've read the whole thing to them, then you're going to say, "Okay, I want everybody to take out their pencil case, and I want you to take out a yellow colored pencil, yellow crayon, yellow highlighter, whatever you've got as your bag of tricks. And we're going to look at this same poem, and I want you to highlight every time there's a punctuation. We're looking for periods, we're looking for commas, we're looking for quotation marks, question marks, and they highlight it. So now there should be two markings. There's going to be a circle anytime it's a word they're not sure what it means or how to pronounce it. And now they're going to highlight with another color to have punctuation. This time, with their partner, they will say the poem or say the dialogue, take turns, and you have to concentrate on where the punctuation is. And every time you come to where it's yellow, you have to remember to stop, look up at your partner, and then look back down. That'll help them engage the audience. This is the second time they've read it, or maybe the third time. So they've now got figured out words that they have to watch to say correctly. They understand the meaning of it. You brainstorm that all together. But every time there's a yellow mark, they have to look up from their paper and then look back down again. That helps their pacing and slowing them down. After they've done that with their partners, the next thing is you take out another color. Take out the green, and this time you're going to highlight every time you come to a word that you think shows some emotion. So you don't want to be a robot, but you want to have your voice go up or go down. So there'll be three things now. When they read with their partner, they're going to be looking for words. So if you're doing for a competition this year, that's why I selected 2022, because you model what everybody is going to do. Later, you give them the dialogue or the poems that are that year's competition so that they come up with ideas and they're not influenced by what you think they should do, because they already have practiced the process. So, like I said, you do the same process whether you have a poem or a dialogue. This happens to be a poem that was used in 2023 on, it's called Second Mother by Nikki Grimes. So first you read through the poem, then you go through and you look for the punctuation. So typically at the end of a line, there'll be something. The easier poems, you can tell your students, mark punctuation and the end of every line. Because sometimes some of the simple poems don't have a lot of punctuation. But at the end of every line, they should practice looking up and back down. Engage their audience. After they practice that with their partners, then you look for words that you want to have for some emotion. And you want to do things that, for example, if you want to do a group activity, you can say, stop calling me your baby. Stop calling me your baby. Stop calling me your baby. And decide, which one did you like the best? You give them an example like that, and then they'll know what to do on theirs so that they will sound different than the partner that they're talking to. Because any one of those is a good example. So you want to take something simple like that and model it for them, and then tell them to do it. See what they come up with. Listen to their partners and see what they come up with. So in the process, you have annotation techniques, and you want to make sure that they understand what that word means. And if they circle it, they need to know, is that a word that surprised you? Is that a word that confused you? Do you think it's a very important word in the poem to tell the story? Does it create a question in your mind? Does it help you understand the theme of the story? Figurative language, particularly for your older students, the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, you want to focus more on this. With your 3rd, 4th grade, pretty much you just want to have what are the emotions to. But with your older students, you want to have them understand the annotation techniques, because that's going to make the difference between who's making it to the semifinals. Everybody will say it well, but how well they can say it, that's the thing. So, when the group comes, we will put them in the front rows, and I will have them so that they can be with partners, and eventually those partners, 2 partners come together so that we have little foursomes, and take them through an example of a poem. Again, we'll do the same basic 3 techniques. So by the time we've done this exercise, they have practiced saying it aloud probably 4 or 5 times. And they're starting to be comfortable with it. And by that point, then you can start talking about who's going to memorize it, who's going to actually represent the classroom. And you can have them do the poems together, separately. You can give out handouts. For the older students, you can have the handouts that's there, or you can just remind them to be kind and be specific. And when you're talking to your partner, say something you thought they did very well and something that you thought maybe they should work on. And have them concentrate on certain words. I really like the way you said stop because it made me stop. Try and get them to be specific instead of so general with their comments. For some of the students, you might want to show them the actual guideline that the judges will use. All of that's online, or like I said, you might want to do a whole unit where you take them through the badges. But the last thing that you do is then that year's actual entry. So we're going to be having a group of 4th graders come in. So first I will do a sample with them, and then I will assign different poems to each person, and they have to decide how they're going to mark it. By the time we take them through reading and practicing 3 or 4 times, they'll be ready to say it to the group. Now, while they're doing their activity and I'm working the crowd, I'm going to have you guys partner up and spread out so that you have little groups of 3 or 4 little pockets. And I'm going to have you encourage to go with people you don't know so that when we sit down after the coffee break, you can be spread out anywhere in the back row. We'll just keep the front row for our arrivals. You can have little clusters of 3 or 4 people in a group and try and have that be people that you don't know so you can network and find some other people in the region and talk to what they've been up to in their classrooms and have a chance to meet some new people. So I believe it's coffee break time, and I think they moved it to another close, I don't know, Marcelo, nobody's here. Find out where we're supposed to take our coffee break.
Everybody needs to move to the other little team. Marcelo's gonna guide
The coffee break is there, in front, just a bit in front. Then we come back with
We'll be short with the coffee break, please. The kids are here already, they're waiting. Oh, I thought we have to role play. Maybe the shortest was the role play.
Bien, ¿no?
Ah, no, nada. I'm sencillo. Okay. Hi. I think you're good. Yes, I think so. I'll tell them when get somebody to stay here.
Bienvenidos a la Universidad Austral de Chile, sede Puerto Montt, ubicada en el inicio de la carretera austral y una de las instituciones educativas más destacadas del país. El notable crecimiento de la ciudad de Puerto Montt y la región de los lagos ha generado una creciente necesidad de profesionales en la zona. A lo largo de sus 34 años de existencia, nuestra sede Puerto Montt ha experimentado un desarrollo exponencial. Nuestra historia se remonta a 1989, cuando la Universidad Austral de Chile abrió sus puertas en Puerto Montt. Desde entonces, hemos crecido y evolucionado para convertirnos en la mejor opción de educación superior en la región, consolidándonos como un centro académico de relevancia en la capital regional, abarcando áreas fundamentales del conocimiento como las ciencias sociales, ciencias de la salud, ingeniería y tecnología y pedagogías. Nuestra universidad cuenta con 5 institutos, 5 centros, 17 carreras de pregrado, un programa de doctorado, una variada oferta de magísteres y diplomados. En nuestras aulas fomentamos la pasión y la excelencia, cultivando habilidades y talentos. Lideramos en investigación e innovación, estimulando la curiosidad y el espíritu crítico para ayudarte a alcanzar tus metas y construir un futuro brillante. Te ofrecemos un entorno único para aprender, crecer y explorar. Si buscas un lugar donde descubrir tu máximo potencial, la Universidad Austral de Chile es tu elección. Bienvenidos a la Universidad Austral de Chile, sede Puerto Montt, ubicada en el inicio de la carretera austral y una de las instituciones educativas más destacadas del país. El notable crecimiento de la ciudad de Puerto Montt y la región de los lagos ha generado una creciente necesidad de profesionales en la zona. A lo largo de sus 34 años de existencia, nuestra sede de Puerto Montt ha experimentado un desarrollo exponencial. Nuestra historia se remonta a 1989, cuando la Universidad Austral de Chile abrió sus puertas en Puerto Montt. Desde entonces, hemos crecido y evolucionado para convertirnos en la mejor opción de educación superior en la región, consolidándonos como un centro académico de relevancia en la capital regional, abarcando áreas fundamentales del conocimiento como las ciencias sociales, ciencias de la salud, ingeniería y tecnología y pedagogías. Nuestra universidad cuenta con 5 institutos, 5 centros, 17 carreras de pregrado, un programa de doctorado, una variada oferta de magísteres y diplomados. En nuestras aulas fomentamos la pasión y la excelencia, cultivando habilidades y talentos. Lideramos en investigación e innovación, estimulando la curiosidad y el espíritu crítico para ayudarte a alcanzar tus metas y construir un futuro brillante. Te ofrecemos un entorno único para aprender, crecer y explorar. Si buscas un lugar donde descubrir tu máximo potencial, la Universidad Austral de Chile es tu elección. Bienvenidos a la Universidad Austral de Chile, sede Puerto Montt, ubicada en el inicio de la carretera austral y una de las instituciones educativas más destacadas del país. El notable crecimiento de la ciudad de Puerto Montt y la región de los lagos ha generado una creciente necesidad de profesionales en la zona. A lo largo de sus 34 años de existencia, nuestra sede de Puerto Montt ha experimentado un desarrollo exponencial. Nuestra historia se remonta a 1989, cuando la Universidad Austral de Chile abrió sus puertas en Puerto Montt. Desde entonces, hemos crecido y evolucionado para convertirnos en la mejor opción de educación superior en la región, consolidándonos como un centro académico de relevancia en la capital regional, abarcando áreas fundamentales del conocimiento como las ciencias sociales, ciencias de la salud, ingeniería y tecnología y pedagogías. Nuestra universidad cuenta con 5 institutos, 5 centros, 17 carreras de pregrado, un programa de doctorado, una variada oferta de magísteres y diplomados. En nuestras aulas fomentamos la pasión y la excelencia, cultivando habilidades y talentos. Lideramos en investigación e innovación, estimulando la curiosidad y el espíritu crítico para ayudarte a alcanzar tus metas y construir un futuro brillante. Te ofrecemos un entorno único para aprender, crecer y explorar. Si buscas un lugar donde descubrir tu máximo potencial, la Universidad Austral de Chile es tu elección. Bienvenidos a la Universidad Austral de Chile, sede Puerto Montt, ubicada en el inicio de la carretera austral y una de las instituciones educativas más destacadas del país. El notable crecimiento de la ciudad de Puerto Montt y la región de los lagos ha generado una creciente necesidad de profesionales en la zona. A lo largo de sus 34 años de existencia, nuestra sede de Puerto Montt ha experimentado un desarrollo exponencial. Nuestra historia se remonta a 1989, cuando la Universidad Austral de Chile abrió sus puertas en Puerto Montt. Desde entonces, hemos crecido y evolucionado para convertirnos en la mejor opción de educación superior en la región, consolidándonos como un centro académico de relevancia en la capital regional, abarcando áreas fundamentales del conocimiento como las ciencias sociales, ciencias de la salud, ingeniería y tecnología y pedagogías. Nuestra universidad cuenta con 5 institutos, 5 centros, 17 carreras de pregrado, un programa de doctorado, una variada oferta de magísteres y diplomados. En nuestras aulas fomentamos la pasión y la excelencia, cultivando habilidades y talentos. Lideramos en investigación e innovación, estimulando la curiosidad y el espíritu crítico para ayudarte a alcanzar tus metas y construir un futuro brillante. Te ofrecemos un entorno único para aprender, crecer y explorar. Si buscas un lugar donde descubrir tu máximo potencial, la Universidad Austral de Chile es tu elección. Bienvenidos a la Universidad Austral de Chile, sede Puerto Montt, ubicada en el inicio de la carretera austral y una de las instituciones educativas más destacadas del país. El notable crecimiento de la ciudad de Puerto Montt y la región de los lagos ha generado una creciente necesidad de profesionales en la zona. A lo largo de sus 34 años de existencia, nuestra sede de Puerto Montt ha experimentado un desarrollo exponencial. Nuestra historia se remonta a 1989, cuando la Universidad Austral de Chile abrió sus puertas en Puerto Montt. Desde entonces, hemos crecido y evolucionado para convertirnos en la mejor opción de educación superior en la región, consolidándonos como un centro académico de relevancia en la capital regional, abarcando áreas fundamentales del conocimiento como las ciencias sociales, ciencias de la salud, ingeniería y tecnología y pedagogías. Nuestra universidad cuenta con 5 institutos, 5 centros, 17 carreras de pregrado, un programa de doctorado, una variada oferta de magísteres y diplomados. En nuestras aulas fomentamos la pasión y la excelencia, cultivando habilidades y talentos. Lideramos en investigación e innovación, estimulando la curiosidad y el espíritu crítico para ayudarte a alcanzar tus metas y construir un futuro brillante. Te ofrecemos un entorno único para aprender, crecer y explorar. Si buscas un lugar donde descubrir tu máximo potencial, la Universidad Austral de Chile es tu elección. Bienvenidos a la universidad. Ha experimentado un desarrollo exponencial. Nuestra historia se remonta a 1989, cuando la Universidad Austral de Chile abrió sus puertas en Puerto Montt. Desde entonces, hemos crecido y evolucionado para convertirnos en la mejor opción de educación superior en la región, consolidándonos como un centro académico de relevancia en la capital regional, abarcando áreas fundamentales del conocimiento como las ciencias sociales, ciencias de la salud, ingeniería y tecnología y pedagogías. Nuestra universidad cuenta con 5 institutos, 5 centros, 17 carreras de pregrado, un programa de doctorado, una variada oferta de magísteres y diplomados. En nuestras aulas fomentamos la pasión y la excelencia, cultivando habilidades y talentos. Lideramos en investigación e innovación, estimulando la curiosidad y el espíritu crítico para ayudarte a alcanzar tus metas y construir un futuro brillante. Te ofrecemos un entorno único para aprender, crecer y explorar. Si buscas un lugar donde descubrir tu máximo potencial, la Universidad Austral de Chile es tu elección. Bienvenidos a la Universidad Austral de Chile, sede Puerto Montt, ubicada en el inicio de la carretera austral y una de las instituciones educativas más destacadas del país. El notable crecimiento de la ciudad de Puerto Montt y la región de los lagos ha generado una creciente necesidad de profesionales en la zona. A lo largo de sus 34 años de existencia, nuestra sede de Puerto Montt ha experimentado un desarrollo exponencial. Nuestra historia se remonta a 1989, cuando la Universidad Austral de Chile abrió sus puertas en Puerto Montt. Desde entonces, hemos crecido y evolucionado para convertirnos en la mejor opción de educación superior en la región, consolidándonos como un centro académico de relevancia en la capital regional, abarcando áreas fundamentales del conocimiento como las ciencias sociales, ciencias de la salud, ingeniería y tecnología y pedagogías. Nuestra universidad cuenta con 5 institutos, 5 centros, 17 carreras de pregrado, un programa de doctorado, una variada oferta de magísteres y diplomados. En nuestras aulas fomentamos la pasión y la excelencia, cultivando habilidades y talentos. Lideramos en investigación e innovación, estimulando la curiosidad y el espíritu crítico para ayudarte a alcanzar tus metas y construir un futuro brillante. Te ofrecemos un entorno único para aprender, crecer y explorar. Si buscas un lugar donde descubrir tu máximo potencial, la Universidad Austral de Chile es tu elección. Bienvenidos a la Universidad Austral de Chile, sede Puerto Montt, ubicada en el inicio de la carretera austral y una de las instituciones educativas más destacadas del país. El notable crecimiento de la ciudad de Puerto Montt y la región de los lagos ha generado una creciente necesidad de profesionales en la zona. A lo largo de sus 34 años de existencia, nuestra sede de Puerto Montt ha experimentado un desarrollo exponencial. Nuestra historia se remonta a 1989, cuando la Universidad Austral de Chile abrió sus puertas en Puerto Montt. Desde entonces, hemos crecido y evolucionado para convertirnos en la mejor opción de educación superior en la región, consolidándonos como un centro académico de relevancia en la capital regional, abarcando áreas fundamentales del conocimiento como las ciencias sociales, ciencias de la salud, ingeniería y tecnología y pedagogías. Nuestra universidad cuenta con 5 institutos, 5 centros, 17 carreras de pregrado, un programa de doctorado, una variada oferta de magísteres y diplomados. En nuestras aulas fomentamos la pasión y la excelencia, cultivando habilidades y talentos. Lideramos en investigación e innovación, estimulando la curiosidad y el espíritu crítico para ayudarte a alcanzar tus metas y construir un futuro brillante. Te ofrecemos un entorno único para aprender, crecer y explorar. Si buscas un lugar donde descubrir tu máximo potencial, la Universidad Austral de Chile es tu elección. Bienvenidos a la Universidad Austral de Chile, sede Puerto Montt, ubicada en el inicio de la carretera austral y una de las instituciones educativas más destacadas del país. El notable crecimiento de la ciudad de Puerto Montt y la región de los lagos ha generado una creciente necesidad de profesionales en la zona. A lo largo de sus 34 años de existencia, nuestra sede de Puerto Montt ha experimentado un desarrollo exponencial. Nuestra historia se remonta a 1989, cuando la Universidad Austral de Chile abrió sus puertas en Puerto Montt. Desde entonces, hemos crecido y evolucionado para convertirnos en la mejor opción de educación superior en la región, consolidándonos como un centro académico de relevancia en la capital regional, abarcando áreas fundamentales del conocimiento como las ciencias sociales, ciencias de la salud, ingeniería y tecnología y pedagogías. Nuestra universidad cuenta con 5 institutos, 5 centros, 17 carreras de pregrado, un programa de doctorado, una variada oferta de magísteres y diplomados. En nuestras aulas fomentamos la pasión y la excelencia, cultivando habilidades y talentos. Lideramos en investigación e innovación, estimulando la curiosidad y el espíritu crítico para ayudarte a alcanzar tus metas y construir un futuro brillante. Te ofrecemos un entorno único para aprender, crecer y explorar. Si buscas un lugar donde descubrir tu máximo potencial, la Universidad Austral de Chile es tu elección. Bienvenidos a la Universidad Austral de Chile, sede Puerto Montt, ubicada en el inicio de la carretera austral y una de las instituciones educativas más destacadas del país. El notable crecimiento de la ciudad de Puerto Montt y la región de los lagos ha generado una creciente necesidad de profesionales en la zona. A lo largo de sus 34 años de existencia, nuestra sede de Puerto Montt ha experimentado un desarrollo exponencial. Nuestra historia se remonta a 1989, cuando la Universidad Austral de Chile abrió sus puertas en Puerto Montt. Desde entonces, hemos crecido y evolucionado para convertirnos en la mejor opción de educación superior en la región, consolidándonos como un centro académico de relevancia en la capital regional, abarcando áreas fundamentales del conocimiento como las ciencias sociales, ciencias de la salud, ingeniería y tecnología y pedagogías. Nuestra universidad cuenta con 5 institutos, 5 centros, 17 carreras de pregrado, un programa de doctorado, una variada oferta de magísteres y diplomados. En nuestras aulas fomentamos la pasión y la excelencia, cultivando habilidades y talentos. Lideramos en investigación e innovación, estimulando la curiosidad y el espíritu crítico para ayudarte a alcanzar tus metas y construir un futuro brillante. Te ofrecemos un entorno único para aprender, crecer y explorar. Si buscas un lugar donde descubrir tu máximo potencial, la Universidad Austral de Chile es tu elección. Bienvenidos a la Universidad Austral de Chile, sede Puerto Montt, ubicada en el inicio de la carretera austral y una de las instituciones educativas más destacadas del país. El notable crecimiento de la ciudad de Puerto Montt y la región de los lagos ha generado una creciente necesidad de profesionales en la zona. A lo largo de sus 34 años de existencia, nuestra sede de Puerto Montt ha experimentado un desarrollo exponencial. Nuestra historia se remonta a 1989, cuando la Universidad Austral de Chile abrió sus puertas en Puerto Montt. Desde entonces, hemos crecido y evolucionado para convertirnos en la mejor opción de educación superior en la región, consolidándonos como un centro académico de relevancia en la capital regional, abarcando áreas fundamentales del conocimiento como las ciencias sociales, ciencias de la salud, ingeniería y tecnología y pedagogías. Nuestra universidad cuenta con 5 institutos, 5 centros, 17 carreras de pregrado, un programa de doctorado, una variada oferta de magísteres y diplomados. En nuestras aulas fomentamos la pasión y la excelencia, cultivando habilidades y talentos. Lideramos en investigación e innovación, estimulando la curiosidad y el espíritu crítico para ayudarte a alcanzar tus metas y construir un futuro brillante. Te ofrecemos un entorno único para aprender, crecer y explorar. Si buscas un lugar donde descubrir tu máximo potencial, la Universidad Austral de Chile es tu elección. Bienvenidos a la Universidad Austral de Chile, sede Puerto Montt, ubicada en el inicio de la carretera austral y una de las instituciones educativas más destacadas del país. El notable crecimiento de la ciudad de Puerto Montt y la región de los lagos ha generado una creciente necesidad de profesionales en la zona. A lo largo de sus 34 años de existencia, nuestra sede de Puerto Montt ha experimentado un desarrollo exponencial. Nuestra historia se remonta a 1989, cuando la Universidad Austral de Chile abrió sus puertas en Puerto Montt. Desde entonces, hemos crecido y evolucionado para convertirnos en la mejor opción de educación superior en la región, consolidándonos como un centro académico de relevancia en la capital regional, abarcando áreas fundamentales del conocimiento como las ciencias sociales, ciencias de la salud, ingeniería y tecnología y pedagogías. Nuestra universidad cuenta con 5 institutos, 5 centros, 17 carreras de pregrado, un programa de doctorado, una variada oferta de magísteres y diplomados. En nuestras aulas fomentamos la pasión y la excelencia, cultivando habilidades y talentos. Lideramos en investigación e innovación, estimulando la curiosidad y el espíritu crítico para ayudarte a alcanzar tus metas y construir un futuro brillante. Te ofrecemos un entorno único para aprender, crecer y explorar. Si buscas un lugar donde descubrir tu máximo potencial, la Universidad Austral de Chile es tu elección. Bienvenido.
Okay. We got our students situated here. And while I'm working with the students, I'm expecting you to do the activity yourself with the partner that you're sitting next to. So little groups of 2s or 3s that you have here, you'll do the same activity while I'm working the crowd here with the students, right? Okay? So, introducing the poem, the first thing that we're going to do is read the poem together. And we're going to make sure that there's no words that you're not sure what they mean or how to pronounce them. And you're going to just put a little circle around any word that you're not sure. It might be a word that you don't say very often and you're not sure how to pronounce it. Okay? Sometimes that's the way it goes. So I'll read it all together. Everybody's going to circle anyone, like I said, a word that you're not sure about the pronunciation or what it means. My Puppy Plays Piano by Ken Nesbitt. My puppy plays piano. It's the strangest thing to see. It seems while I was practicing, he learned by watching me. He started out on chopsticks, then he learned to play some Bach. It wasn't long before he knew the blues and classic rock. He also taught my kitten how, so they could play duets. And then they taught guitar and drums to all the other pets. They formed a band and practiced hard and traveled all around and instantly got famous for the catchy pet rock sound. They made a smash hit record. It wasn't very long before my pets were millionaires because they wrote this song. Okay. So, we're going to look at it and say, for example, did anybody circle the word chopsticks? What does chopsticks mean? Anybody have an idea? Who knows? Yeah. Do you know what it means?
No.
Okay. Anybody know what it means? Anybody in the crowd? Yeah.
Chinese food.
Yes, when you're eating Chinese food. Okay. There's a very famous song if you play beginner piano called Chopsticks, and you use 2 fingers. Pum 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 pum. That's called chopsticks. Okay? Okay. Did anybody circle the word Bach? Yeah? Yeah? That's hard to pronounce because it's German, it's not even English. And who knows what it means?
A musician.
It's a famous musician, a German musician. He didn't write the song Chopsticks, but he wrote many very famous songs to play on the piano, okay? So, a lot of people know who Bach is because he's a very famous piano player. So, if you can get your puppy to play a song, a simple song like Chopsticks, but if you can get your puppy to play a famous song like Bach, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Did anybody circle the word duets? what duets mean? Anybody? What does duet mean? Yes?
One is dueto.
Okay. And in English, it's
Duet is a competition.
a competition you can do. Yes? What were you going to say? It has to involve two. A duet has to have two. Not three, not four, not solo, but a duet is two. Has to have two. So, if you're playing piano, maybe one person is sitting right next to you and you're playing together. One person plays a song and the other plays with a duet together. Sometimes two guitars play together a duet. Maybe one person sings and one person plays the piano. It would be a duet, right? Okay. Did anybody circle the word catchy? Catchy. What does that mean? Catchy. I know how to catch a ball. But what does catchy mean? You know?
Something maybe a little contagious.
Something that others want to do. Something that's popular. Yeah. You could say it was a popular pet rock song. You could change that word and it would still make sense. Okay? Did anybody circle millionaires?
El millionaire es como very much money.
Wealthy.
Million could be a million people, but usually it's a million pesos money. Yeah?
Eso en español sería millonario, que tiene mucha platita.
Right. And so you might have circled it to make sure you say it correctly. Because we don't want to say the Spanish version, we want to say in English, millionaires. And you pronounce it different in Spanish, right? You got to be careful on the vowels. So the first thing we do is we look and see, are there any words that you don't know how to pronounce correctly or you don't know what they mean, right? So what do you think this story is about? Tell me. You can tell me. What's this poem about? Is it about running and playing in the rain? Is it about eating hot dogs? What's it about? What's it about? What's it about? Who can tell me? What's it about? What's it about?
Playing with their toys. Maybe I can look for
Playing with your toys? Using maybe your imagination?
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, I've had a lot of dogs in my life, and I don't know any dogs that know how to play the piano.
No.
They might take their paws and clong, 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 but I don't know any dogs that really play the piano. Have to use your imagination for that. Yeah. Okay, so this is about using your imagination. If animals could play an instrument, just like we can learn how to play an instrument. And not just by themselves, but in a group. Because a band means a whole group, right?
Yeah.
So that's basically, poems always tell a story. So we have to figure out all the words, and we have to kind of know what's the story about. You think this is a funny story or a sad story? Does it make you laugh and smile, or does it make you cry? Which does it do? When I read this, did it make you cry? Did anybody cry? I've read some things that make me cry. Do you ever watch the movies sometimes and the story is so sad it makes you cry?
So.
Yeah. Some people are tough. They are, yeah. But yeah, this one's silly. It makes you laugh. It's a fun story. Yeah. To dream and imagine fun things. Yeah. Okay. Now, we're going to take another pen or a color pencil, everyone's doing this with us. You're going to, a different color than what you just used, right? Different color, choose a different color. You can use yellow, orange, make sure you have a different color, right? Okay, so you circled with blue, so don't use that one, use any color you want, yeah, pick a color. Yeah? Got a color? Now, what I want you to do is every time there is a punctuation mark, I want you to highlight it or circle it so you can see. A period, a comma, a question mark, quotation marks. Those are things that we add to the words, right? Those are things that we add to make expression. So you go all the way through, and then every time I come to a punctuation, you circle it with your new color, right? My puppy plays piano. Is there anything there? Well, the quotation marks because it's the title. My puppy plays piano. Did you circle the period? It's the strangest thing to see. Did you circle the period? It seems, there's a comma, while I was practicing, there's another comma. He learned by watching me. There's a period. We started out on chopsticks. Still with me? Then, he learned to play some Bach. There's a period there. It wasn't long before he knew the blues and classic rock. Period. He also taught my kitten how so they could play duets. There's a comma. And then he taught guitar and drums to all the other pets. There's another period. They formed a band and practiced hard and traveled all around. There's a comma. And instantly got famous for their catchy pet rock sound. So we got some quotations and we've got a period. They made a smash hit record. It wasn't very long before my pets were millionaires because they wrote this song. There's a period. Now, what we're going to do, every time there is a punctuation mark, when you're reading it, I want you to look up and look at your partner, and then look back down so you can continue reading. Because when you're reading something out loud, you have to look at your audience. That means as you're going, then you have to look back down, make sure you're saying the words right, and then look back up again. So,
Want to read it to me
this group,
a little bit? Do you want to read a little bit to me to show them?
how to do it,
Yeah,
and then, okay.
yeah.
My puppy plays piano.
You read it to me there. Okay, I'm here.
It's the strangest thing to see. It seems, while I was practicing, he learned by watching me. So every time you come to a punctuation, you have to look up and then go back down to continue reading, right? So, you're going to go first and read to your partners. Then you're going to go second and read to your partners. And you're going to go third and read to your partners. Okay? You read first, read second. You're going to read first, read second. You're going to read first, and you're going to read second. Partners, partner.
You decide
Okay.
who's going to read first, who's going to read
Go. Ready? Go. Let me hear you. Going first.
You're on your own. You should be on your own.
You're supposed to read first. I thought you said Back down again. And then you will send it. When you look on it again, okay. Don't forget to look up here. When you're reading, you gotta look at the partner, not just look up.
So I used to train.
Okay. You should have practiced both. Everybody get a chance? Okay. A long poem, but you gotta be patient and get all the way through practice. So when you're going through, did your partner look up or did they look you in the eye? Did your partner look up or did they look you in the eye? Because when you're saying a poem to an audience, you need to look up to your group, not just outer space, right? And did they remember to do it every time? Because you start getting fast and forgetting and go too fast. Did they do it every time? They do it every time. That's tricky. That's trickier. Do we have a volunteer out there that's going to read it for us and demonstrate?
Come on, who's going to read?
We need a volunteer. We need a volunteer. Okay. Okay. Stand up and read it to the group. Stand up. Go ahead.
I know they've been practicing.
Okay. Okay, watch. I want everybody to watch and see. Does she look up every time there's punctuation? And does she look up at the audience or her partner? Or does she just look up and then back down? It's supposed to engage your audience, okay?
Okay.
Go for it. Go ahead, go for it. Oh, same time bell. Just sales, they're trying to sell me something. Yeah. Okay, sorry, here we go.
My puppy plays piano. It's a splendid thing to see. It seems while I was practicing, he learned by watching me.
Is she looking up? Is she remembering to look up? Okay, keep going. It's not always easy, but keep going.
He started out on chopsticks. Then he learned to play samba. It wasn't long before he knew the blues and classic rock. He also taught my kids how so they could play duets. And they taught guitar and drums throughout my other pets. They form a band and practice hard and travel all around. And instantly got famous for their catchy pep rock sound. They made a smash hit record and it wasn't very long before my pets were millionaires because they wrote this song.
Yeah. And did you notice she got better as she was going? Sometimes people start getting sloppy and don't remember to look up. She actually got better as she was going on it, right? Good job, good job, good job. All right, now we're going to add something else. So you need a new color. You've used two colors, you got to go with another color now, right? Oops. This time, we're going to circle a word in each line that you think should have more emotion, because your voice doesn't stay the same tempo, the same voice level. You go up and get louder or you get softer, right? So, excuse me, my turn to talk. If we look at the first line, let's say, my puppy plays piano. Or would you say, my puppy plays piano? Or do you think it would be good to say, my puppy plays piano? Or do you think, my puppy plays piano? Which word in that line you think my voice should go up and give some expression to? You decide, because you don't have to say it the same way. You could say, my puppy plays piano. Or you could say, my puppy plays piano. You decide, and you circle with a new color every time you think your voice should go up for just that line. There shouldn't be more than one word for every line, okay? Go through it, and then you're going to practice saying with your partner again, okay? Practice saying with your partner again. Ready?
Maybe it could be my puppy plays piano. And
You could. Sometimes you might, there might be two. More times than not, you don't want to overdo it or you don't hear it. But sometimes, every once in a while, you could throw in a second. And on the first or last line, oftentimes that happens. Yeah. Go through the list and decide which word are you going to have your voice go up or down. Because then I'm going to tell you to practice. How you doing? Did you go all the way through? You know the poem now, so you know which words you want to emphasize. You decide. You don't have to have the same thing. You don't have to have the same words. You go all the way through and decide. One for each line. This line, this line. Yeah. One word for each line. You decide which word. You want your word in this one. Which one are you going to have your voice? You decide. You decide. Right? You read it and pass it down, so you need to sign it. It's lunch for them. Okay, you should have gone all the way down and chose one word for each line. Occasionally you might have a couple of words, but typically one word for each line. And then you should be ready with your partner to practice. And see if your partner chose the same words as you. They might be different. So, you chose one for each word. So now, when you practice, do something with your voice.
Just pass it on if you're not going to.
Okay? So now when you say it out loud,
You're not going to say it.
remember every time there's punctuation.
Are you saying?
If I say
Change your
yes,
voice.
Okay, we have to give them this voice.
Okay? Say it out loud. Okay? Are you ready to practice? Did you go on with your list yet? You're ready? Your partner's not quite ready? If you're not quite ready, practice saying it to yourself, and then you say it out loud to your partner.
That's what we speak. It's for the old kids. You can speak that thing.
But yeah, and if you have a question, I want you So you went on with trust and you went on. And now you practice every time you look up, and every time you come to a word you search, and make sure your voice changes. Okay, you should be practicing with your partner. This time, remember, every time you come to punctuation, you have to look up. And every time you come to a word you circle, your voice should be changing. Okay? Your partner should be looking at you the whole time, not their paper. The partner should be looking at their partner and see if they're looking up and listening to how they change their voice. You only look at the paper when it's your turn. Okay? Okay, go for it. Practice. Practice with your partner. Who's going to read first? Who's the first one to read? You take a turn. So we're going to stop. And change your voice whenever you change your word. Are you ready to say it out loud? Did you practice with partner? Okay. Did you do the Okay, listen up for a minute, please. Now I would like you to think about when your partner read the speech to you, what's one thing that you think they did really well? And one thing that maybe they need to work on. So you tell your partner one thing you thought they did really well, and one thing that next time they read it, they probably need to work on. Okay? All right, go ahead. Share with your partner one thing that you did well, and one thing that you worked That's okay. That's okay. Okay, and listen up. We have a volunteer that's willing to share. And keep in mind, every time you come to punctuation, you have to look up and go back down, because you're still reading it, you haven't memorized it. Every time you get into a word that you circled, you need to change your voice. It got louder or it got softer. And we're listening and watching to see if that happens. Because everybody's watching you. All eyes are on the speaker. Nobody's looking at their papers when somebody's presenting. Okay? So, this group. One of you, stand up. One of you stand up. Okay. Okay. Stand up. Over to the side by the window there so we can see you. Now remember, she gets to look at the paper. We all watch her and we listen to see, does she change her voice each time?
Okay.
Here we go.
My father plays piano. It's the strangest things to see. It seems, while I was practicing, he learned by watching me. He started out on chopsticks. Then he learned to play some Bach. It wasn't long before he knew the blues and classic rock. He also taught my kids how, so they could play duets. And then they taught guitar and drums to all my other pets. They formed a band and practiced hard and traveled all around. And instantly got famous for their catchy cat rock sound. They made a smash hit record and it wasn't very long before my pets were millionaires because they wrote this song.
Bravo. Okay. And can we say something you thought she did really well? Anybody? What did she do well as a speaker?
Emotion.
Were you watching the speaker? Do we have to tell her to do it again? Okay. Tell me something that she did well. Did she look up at her audience? Did she look up at her audience, everyone? Did she? Did she look up at her audience, everyone? Yes, we could say that.
Yeah.
Did she change her voice? Yes. You could say that. Yes, she did. Did she pick the same words that you did to change her voice? Or were they different? And did you like what she did? Or would you say maybe she should change it to the one that I did?
Yeah.
What's something you think she should work on the next time? Something she should work on the next time. What?
It was too
fast.
Too fast.
Because the more you read it, then you start saying it very fast, and you have to slow down and speak with expression. Because as you're learning it, especially if you're going to try and memorize it, you start talking too fast. Yeah, and that would be a good thing to do. Yes, so what you do is first make sure you understand what the poem is about. Then you have to figure out the punctuation, where to look up, when to stop and slow yourself down, and where to add some expression. Okay? You can add expression to your voice, or you can add expression using your hands or your face. You could say, my puppy plays piano. Maybe you want to add a hand gesture like that. Okay? It's the strangest thing. So you have one gesture, have another gesture. You don't want to do too much. You want your voice to be the one that they listen to. But sometimes it's good to add, sometimes you just change your face, sometimes you use your shoulders. So as you're practicing, that again helps you slow down so you're not talking so fast. Because you add a certain gesture. The gesture might not be the same word that you change in your voice. My puppy plays piano. I changed my voice on piano, but I put a gesture on a different word. So these are things that can get you better at saying your poem out loud.
Yes.
We,
I have a question.
Yeah.
For example, when it comes to evaluate or assess the performance of any student in this working in this,
Yeah.
If you emphasize, for example, my puppy plays piano, then you emphasize the musical instrument.
Yes.
But what happens if you emphasize my puppy? What about the judges? They will evaluate your
Because the
intonation
theme is
or-
music and you're thinking that you should do that,
Is it
the theme is just a process of selecting. And so when you look at this is about music, it doesn't have to be every emphasis on music.
Oh.
As long as by the time I'm done, you have a feeling for what the poem was about. So the judges would look and say, did it make me laugh? Was it happy? Or was I kind of nervous for them up there? Yeah, that would be a difference because they could see the nervousness in them. That's a little different.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah. So we started out with the poem that everybody does, and now we're going to do a different poem. And this time it's going to be 1 of 5. Okay? There's 5 poems here. They're all for grade 4 students. I'm going to read them just once, and you circle if there's any word there that you don't know what it means or how to say the word. And then you and your partner each have to pick one poem, but it can't be the same one. You can pick which one you want to do. Here we go. The first one is called April Rain by Langston Hughes. You ready with your pencils? Anything that you don't know what it means, or you're not sure how to say it. My turn to talk. Nobody else. Let the rain kiss you. Let the rain beat upon your head with silver liquid drops. Let the rain sing you a lullaby. The rain makes still pools on the sidewalk. The rain makes running pools in the gutter. The rain plays a little sleep song on the roof at night. I love the rain. Now, if there's any word in there that you're not sure what it is, you should be circling it. For April Rain. The next one is If You Ever Met an Elephant by Ken Nesbitt. Are you ready? If you ever met an elephant who wants to join the band, it's the sort of situation that will never go as planned. So, you better tell him no and try to make him understand before he starts to play. First, he'll stumble and go crashing. Then, your stuff will take a bashing. He'll be dancing as he's smashing. He'll act like this all day. Then, you'll never make him leave because he's happy as a clam. And it doesn't make a difference if you yell at him or scram. And when the only thing he wants to do is jump around and jam and never go away, He'll be walloping and whacking, and you'll need financial backing. So you'd better send him packing before he starts to play. There's a lot of words in just those two. I didn't see anybody circling words here, so I guess you're smarter than I thought. I didn't see anybody circling words that they weren't sure how to spell, how to say, or what they meant. So they have no questions for me, so we can go on. The next one is a bicycle spoke. Okay? Let's see if they know all the words in this one. How to say them, and if there's any words that they mean. You're not sure what they mean. Bicycle spoke by Jack Gillespie. Ready to circle any word that you're not sure. A bicycle spoke, and a clock stopped to hear. The tulip blew kisses, and Rose shed a tear. A package was wrapped, through the shoes weren't swayed. The cashews went crazy, a knot was afraid. The buttons were frightened, the butter stood pat, as socks offered punch to the top in a hat. A cake pounded hard, then a lax song sang off key. A plum bobbed a bit, which the saw didn't see. The chair broke the floor, for the night wouldn't stand. The benches were bored, and when the iron was banned, the tires grew weary, and the fork hit the hay. The trees left the scene as the cheese led the way. Anybody have questions about that one? What is this song? Is this about a bicycle? Is it about cheese? Is it about food? What do you think the message is in this poem? Be sure and be able to tell to your audience by what you're saying what the poem is about. Okay, the other one is keep a poem in your pocket. This was written by Beatrice Schenk de Reiners. Keep a poem in your pocket and a picture in your head, and you'll never feel lonely at night when you're in bed. The little poem will sing to you. The little picture brings to you a dozen dreams to dance to you at night when you're in bed. So, keep a picture in your pocket and a poem in your head, and you'll never feel lonely at night when you're in bed. Okay. Shorter, there might be some words you have to work on your pronunciation, some of the words. And then the next one is Clatter by Joyce Amour. If I should list my favorite words, they sound a lot like this. Rumble, crash, snort, jangle, thump, roar, fizzle, splat, moo, hiss, not to mention gobble, clang, tweet, sputter, tick-tock, growl, crackle, chirp, boom, whistle, wheeze, squawk, jingle, quack, thud, howl. Then, of course, there's grunt, toot, cuckoo, thunder, bang, pop, mush, rattle, splash, rip, ding dong, and my parents' favorite, hush. Okay, there's 5 poems there. You and your partners need to work on 2 of them. You can't have the same one. Both of you have to have a different poem that you work on. And the first thing you're going to do is circle all of the punctuation so you know where to look up and slow down. Okay? Okay? Which poem are you going to do? Which poem are you going to do? You pick one, you pick one. It can't be the same. Okay? You can do this one, you can do that one, or any of the songs, but it can't be the same. Yeah? Okay? You're gonna pick the poem, and you pick one. You can pick one of these, or one of the first. And make sure it's not the same as your partner. Okay? You guys, there's 3, there's 5. So you pick one, you pick one, you pick one. And pick 6. Who wants to do April Rain? No one? Who wants to do the one about the elephant? Okay, turn the page. Who's gonna do a bicycle? You gotta pick one of them. Time to pick. Time to pick. Time to pick. Who's gonna do keep a poem in your pocket? Who's gonna do clatter? You have to each do a different one. Okay? Poem? Which one? Which one? This one? April song? Okay. Okay. Good. First thing you have to do is all the punctuation. Up, down. Okay? And then you're going to look for words that you want to add. Yeah? Which one are you going to do? You're going to do this one? Oh, you can't because he wants the same one. So you can do that. Or you both pick it. You got 5 choices. Okay, you got to figure it out. Which one are you doing? You're doing the bicycle one? Okay, you name it last? Which one are you going to do? He's doing the bicycle one. What are you going to do? You meet an elephant? Like the elephant one? Which one are you going to do? You want to do? You want to do this one? Okay. Okay, everyone should have picked their poem. 1. Your partner has to have a different poem. You can't be doing the same poem. Okay? Everybody has to have a poem. And by now you should decide where's the punctuation. So when you practice reading it, you remember when to look up. When to look up. Okay? As soon as you do that, you practice with your partner. Okay? You ready to practice? Okay, she's almost there. Give her a little bit. You just practice saying it to yourself. You ready? You ready to practice? Okay. Then you need to decide where are you going to look up? Where are you going to look up? That should be Then you say it out loud. Are you ready? Yeah, you're gonna say it to your partner, and he's gonna listen to see if you're looking up. And if you're okay? Are you ready? Okay. Because you don't need to look at your partner, you need to look at her one. You guys ready to practice? Are you ready? Okay. Almost. Ready? You can say it. Okay. Ready to say it out loud?
Crash. And my parents they working.
Keep the circle in yours. And you say expressions. So you circle every time. Finish Okay. Listen up. By now you should have selected your poem, practiced at least once or two times with your partner, that you worked on your expression. Oh, that would have been good. Yeah. Okay. You need to, if there isn't a lot of punctuation, like for example, keep a poem in your pocket. I usually recommend students, when you come to the last word in the line, every time look up. That's what I would recommend, because many times the poems don't have so much punctuation. So that way they have a chance to practice looking up before they're memorizing. So you should have looked for when to look up, when to give some expression. Some of you might have even been on a third time to add some gestures, facial gestures, hand gestures. And then make sure that you told your partner something that you thought they did well and something that they could work on while they're practicing. because the last page of our handout focuses on if you do this with a larger group or your whole class. And you have them look at specific things. You can make this, did they speak clearly so that everyone could understand? Because maybe they were talking so fast, they didn't enunciate. Or did they pause for the punctuation or at the end of a phrase so that they established eye contact? Did they have change in their voice? Did they use any body language? And you can do a simplified rubric like this with your class, and you can have speaker 1 through however many you're going to do that day, and the next day do, 5 more, 10 more. Or in your groupings, have each of the groups evaluate each one after they say their poem and what they've done. Let's get an example. Who are we going to have to give an example for this time?
Oh, we got Pamela.
We got the front row here. Okay. All right.
Up you go.
Up you go. We're going to be looking to see what she did well and what she could work on as she continues to practice.
Well, I had a question actually.
Sure.
Because I chose platter, which has a lot of information.
Yes.
So I marked maybe like every 2 words to look up, but I wasn't sure if it's too much.
In that case, it would be the opposite of what I just said about where they don't have very much punctuation.
Yeah.
If they have too much, I would be selective, and it shouldn't be more than 1 or 2 per line. So you decide with a list like that where to put your inflection and pauses. Yeah? So poetry is like that. There's a lot of variety to it. So yeah, if you stand over here, then all the kids will be able to see it too, because the kids are going to be watching to see what did she do well.
Yes.
And what should she work on the next time?
Can you introduce yourself, please? Mini introduction.
Mini introduction. Hello, my name is Pamela. I'm an English teacher. I work at 3 different rural schools in Puerto Vallarta. And I work with young learners at the moment.
Now, most introductions, because we don't want the judges to know family names and schools and such to be influenced, they go straight to the title of the poem, who wrote the poem, say the poem. That's the only thing that's on the video. Yeah. Okay?
Okay.
Go for it. Watch.
Platter by Joyce Armour. If I should list my favorite words, they sound a lot like this. Rumble, crash, snort, jungle, thump. Roar, fizzle, splat, moo, and hiss. Not to mention gobble, clank, tweet, sputter, tick-tock, growl, crackle, chirp, boom, whistle, wheeze, quack, jingle, boom. Sorry, I read it again. Quack, then, of course, there is grunt, toot, cuckoo, thunder, bang, pop, smash, rattle, splash, rip, ding dong, and my parents' favorite.
Well done. Okay. What did she do well? What did she do well? Yes. Yes. And I saw a lot of change in her voice. It wasn't flat monotone. There was a lot of change and expression in her voice. What do you think she should work on next time as she's practicing? What do you think she should work on? You think it's perfect? No need to do anything. What do you think? What should she work on? Well, I'm gonna suggest that she looks as she's practicing, following along, so that when she looks up, she doesn't lose her place. And she can continue on. Usually you can use your finger to go high and you go down the page. So that you remember to stop at each spot where you put your expression. You want to do a gesture so that you don't lose your spot because you want to look up your audience. Okay, so we're going to practice one more time because then each one of the students are going to get up and give their poem to the group. So practice one more time with your partner and be ready because everyone in the group here is going to be watching to say what did they do well and what should they work on. Be ready to give them some helpful hints. These poems, yeah. Everybody's gonna do their poem. Yeah. You're gonna stand right here and do it.
Yeah.
Do you mind?
Yeah, she just. Make sure. So just call me.
Which work are you
Well, if you're just gonna do the competition, you want to be. That's why Think you're ready? You hear? Is she ready? Did you tell her what she did well and what she needed to work on? Yeah? Okay. Can you read this poem? Yeah. Say it You practice. Which one are you doing? And you're ready to do Yes, stand right Okay, good. Ready? I'll stand right next to you, okay? We'll stand right here. No, we'll stand right here, we don't want to get in No, we want to stand right here because here, step on the cord. Okay, let's give them your attention before we exit here. We want everybody to be listening and say, what did they do well and what should they be working on? Okay? So, are you ready? When they introduce themselves, they will say the name of their poem, the author, and say the poem. That's it. Right? No other introductions. Yeah? Start. Here we go. Right here. We're gonna watch to see, does she look up and engage her audience? And does she speak with expression? Because she's still reading it, she hasn't memorized it yet, right? Okay, ready? Go.
April rain. Let the rain kiss you. Let the rain beat upon your head with silver liquid drops. Let the rain sing you a lullaby. The rain makes steel pools on the sidewalk. The rain makes running pools in the water. The rain plays a little sleep song on our roof at night. And I love the rain.
What do you think she did well? Give her some ideas. What did she do well? Yes.
Yeah, I love her fluency.
The fluency was very good. Yes. Anything else?
You have beautiful pronunciation.
Good pronunciation. Yes. Anything else?
Their pace.
Her pacing was very good.
Yes.
She ended very strong. It's always good to start strong and end strong to get your audience. Her ending was great. She looked up and captured the audience in her last line. Good job. All right. It's not easy to be the first one. Okay, here we go. Here we go.
Later, but those are edible. We shall read my favorite words. They sound a lot like this: rumble, crash, jungle, trump, roar, whistle, splat, move, hiss, knock, nocturne, gobble, glad, read, quiver, tick-tock, growl, quack, quack, how this. Of course, the route to cuckoo under bank top rush rainbow splash ring ding dong and my parents' favorite. Wash.
And what kinds of things did he do well? What did you think he did well?
His pronunciation's beautiful.
His pronunciation was good. There was only, out of all of those words, there was a couple of that he was nervous, but we're still practicing, and that's very, very good for all those words. Yeah. What else did you notice he did well? Things he did well.
Emphasize word.
He had good emphasis on certain words, yes, especially at the end. Ended with a strong ending again. Yeah, yeah. What do you think he should work on as he's practicing?
The poses. The poses.
Yeah, yeah. He's got to work on the pausing, the phrasing. All of these words, he has to pick when he's going to look up and engage because it's this long, long list of words. Yeah? He's still a little bit nervous about being in the group, so he's got to work on his body language so that he's not doing the tick-tock the whole time like the cuckoo clock, right? Yeah, you did a good job on the wording on that. Yeah, yeah. Well done, well done. Now you can do that. Okay, go ahead.
Keep a poem in your pocket. Be very with your enemies. Keep a poem in your pocket and a picture in your hair, and you never feel lonely at night where you need bed. The little poem will sing to you, the little picture bring to you, a dozen ring thanks to you, at night when you're bed. So, keep a picture in your pocket and a poem in your hair, and you never feel lonely at night when in your bed.
Okay, what did she do well? What did she do well?
The rhythm.
Very good rhythm in it, yeah. Very lyrical, rhythmic.
She was very fluent.
Yeah. And fluent, yes. She was comfortable with the wording. She chose something that was good. Something she should work on.
Look at the audience.
Gotta look up, and once you learn the poem, you gotta look up and engage your audience so they see that she read the whole time. So she wouldn't get lost. So practicing, you have to start that, but she's certainly ready to start looking up. And sometimes when you're practicing, you do that at home in front of the mirror, and you look at yourself. And then you know you're remembering to practice. Yeah. Good job, good job. Okay, go for it. Yes.
April rain, song by Langston and Howard. Let the rain kiss you. Let the rain beat upon your head with silver little drop. Let the rain sing you are loved. Let the rain make tears fall on the city wall. The rain make running pool in the garden. The rain played a little sleep song or you rock at night. And I love the rain. Thank you.
All right. Something she did well? Excuse me? Things she did well? You were saying about the words? What'd you say? Okay. You were commenting about how she pronounced all the words correctly? Yes, yeah. She's very good with the pronunciation of the words. Just, a couple of them, like at the beginning, the author is tricky. Yeah. What else? What else?
I like that she's confident.
Yeah, yeah. And again, strong ending. It's like ramble, but strong ending. You gotta leave with a good, strong message. Good. Something she can work on? What do you think?
Looking at the audience.
Looking up at the audience. Because now she's still practicing, so she's reading. So that's going to be a very common one. Very commonly, people won't want to look up because they're nervous about it. And then when they start practicing without the paper, they will maybe look up, around, but they won't look at their audience. They'll have to get comfortable with that so they're not nervous when they perform. Well done. Good. Do your best. It's okay. Just give it your best shot. Yeah? Go.
Keep a poem in your pocket. Beatrice. Check the rate. Keep a coin in your pocket and a picture in your bed, and you're never live lonely at night. Here you in the lead a poem, sing to choose you, the lead picture bring to you a dozen brains to dance to you at night. Brains to are in there. So keep a picture in your pocket and a poem in your bed, in your never left lonely at night when you are my
Good. All right. Good. Okay. Something she did well.
The volume.
Yes, very good volume. Yes, you can hear consistently through the whole thing. Yeah, yeah, very good, very good. And I, especially toward the end, you could see her confidence. It's like light at the end of the tunnel. It's like, and so she made it through. Yeah, well done. Something she could work on? Yeah, the pauses. And looking up at the audience, that's always a tough one. Yeah. Okay, well done. Good job. I need to get up in front of you. Okay, are you ready? Go ahead. April, May, so.
April is by long let the rain speak, let the rain beat on your head, silver liquid drum. Let the rain sing your full of rain, the rain makes steel poles on the sidewalk. The rain makes warm falls in the river. The rain plays a sleep song on our roof at night. And I love the rain.
Okay. Something she did well. Her fluency was good. She was nervous, but her fluency was good. Yeah, yeah. And something she can work on. Projecting a little bit.
Yeah.
Looking up to the audience, she's pretty much looking down, so projecting a little bit. Yeah, very good. Good job, good job. It's nerve-wracking to get up like that. It's very nerve-wracking. And like I said, if we don't give them opportunities, they won't get better at it. Public speaking is one of those things that the more you do it, the better you get at it. And you figure out it's not so bad. Like sometimes it takes you halfway through the poem before you start to relax and get better at it. Yeah, yeah. You ready? Okay.
My basket is not different. Keep a poem in your pocket, in your picture, in your heart, and you will never feel lonely. And if you never. The chill poem will sing to you. The chill picture bring to you. I don't bring to life to you. I mean when you really under. To keep a picture in your pocket and a poem in your heart, and you are never feel lonely, and me will you never.
Good job. Okay, what did he do well? Something he did well. His volume was good. His phrasing was very good. The rhythm, so the volume and the phrasing was quite good. And something he could work on as he continues to practice. Engage your audience, looking up, which you get more comfortable as you read. And you'll find the more you do it, then you start talking too fast. So then you have to slow it down. But well done, good job. Okay.
April rain song. Let the rain kiss you. Let the rain beat you upon your head with silver liquid drops. Let the rain sing you a lullaby. The rain makes still pools on the seawall. The rain makes running pools in the gutter. The rain plays a little sleep song on our roof at night. And I love the rain.
All right. Okay, something he did well? Volume was great. Yeah, volume was great. And his pacing, the phrasing between was pretty good. Something he could work on? Get a little more rhythm and expression in his voice instead of being quite so monotone. As he goes through it, he'd be better at that. Yeah. Well done. Good job. Good job.
Happy rain song. They rain snow. Let the rain kiss you. Let the rain let's be. Hope you have silver liquid from the when the rain song you are moving. The rain mist still falls on the silver. The rain might run fall in the road. The rain plays on with sit song and look round and night. I love rain.
Okay. Good job. One of the things he did well was his phrasing. He had the phrasing down and he followed the directions on what he had put on his paper, had the phrasing, yeah. Probably something to work on, look up at your audience because he's still reading instead of engaging the audience, which is a very, very common thing to do, yeah?
Just ask you something. When students involved for this presentation competition, do they have to, when they are making up the final video, are they allowed to appear like reading on the video, or do they have to learn it by heart?
By the time they're on the video, they should memorize it and be able to say it without reading it. Right, if they want to advance, yeah, if they want to advance. Well done, good job. So, the point is that this is just the introduction, and at this point, you would be ready to have them practice at home. They should practice in their bedroom, in front of a mirror, for their parents, maybe for their pets, their dogs, you know, they love to sit and listen to you. Anything to practice, because the more you do it, then of course you will start to speed up and you'll have other things that you have to work on. If you're doing this with your class, then the whole idea is, first, of course, do something that you sampled for them, like we did the puppy. Then you need to have them share with each other and be comfortable with the routine, so that when you have whatever grade level you're working with, you say, okay, these are the choices. And everyone within your groupings, you can do groups of 4 and 5 or something, pick a different one to do. And do the competition with everybody using the shortened handouts so that you get the students involved in helping them say to their classmates what they did well and what they could work on. It's important that they learn to be kind and be specific so that it's helpful for them. Those are good things for them to learn, so that after they've done that, you can go into a lot more on polishing, adding gestures, making sure that they're not overusing it too much. You know, you can help on polishing some of those things so that by the time you go through just those introductory things, you can then have your own classroom competition and amongst the students decide who in your classroom should represent your class at the competition. Have them do something shortened, make your own, something similar that you want them to focus on while they're presenting to each other, and then have that person continue practicing and get the video ready. Now, some people want to have everybody do a video so that they all have that option and learn the mechanics of it. But a lot of them will get to this point and then you just work with the one person, or you send them to the media specialist or somebody to help them get their video ready to be sent off. So the idea is to introduce it and then have them work independently and come back and present to their classmates. So that by the time you're done, you can select a student to be in the competition. And anybody that has come to the program today, we had talked to the university ahead of time that you can complete this information, or if you want, you can use the scan right there and get the form so you can do it online. You can take a picture of that and get the form to fill out the contacts of your name, the school that you're affiliated with, or if you're affiliated with a particular organization, Cambridge or Britannica, if you're a university student working, basically, who are you gonna practice this with? Who are you gonna go try this with? We don't wanna do the activity in isolation. The teacher that brought these students, she can now go back to her classroom and they can do a competition and decide which one of these maybe will send off a video after they've worked on it further and work on it. She can fill this out and give us the details and the information. Again, I really encourage teachers to volunteer to be first-time judges because you see the videos and you can watch it over and over and over again and decide what you want to do before you send off your scoring. And you're always a part of a team, so you're not going to stop somebody from being a potential candidate because you feel like you were too harsh or too liberal. Because it's a team effort with all the averaging. So it's a very good exercise educationally to be a round one judge. To be at the semifinals and finals, you have to have a little more confidence. You have to decide on the spot. It's the Olympics. Put the number down and that's it. But round one is really something that we encourage people to do. And at that, we've finished our morning session for lunch. And I was going to say if there's any specific questions, but we certainly can give a round of applause to our volunteer. Then if you have further questions, we can sort out for lunch. So if you wanted to exit with your students, you're welcome to do so.
Thank you so much.
Yes. And
I just want to add something. Anybody interested in being a first round judge? Please tell me. Give me your email, give me your name, okay? I'm writing some of them down, but I don't know how to reach you all. So please, you come to me, I'll write you down. Okay? Thank you.
We also at ESU@esu.cl, our general email. If you're interested, we will get that information to Christine if you're interested in doing something, or someone else from your school, one of your other colleagues that wants to do that is certainly welcome to do so. So, as I said, the students are dismissed to go, and this is open questions. If anybody wants to ask a specific question about what I presented this morning, not all of you are staying this afternoon. This afternoon, we will be focusing on the secondary competition for public speaking. And so if there's anything, I will be here. I can answer questions individually. You can send to ESU@esu.cl and we'll answer you back. But I think at this point, we're going to dismiss the students and we'll figure out what we're doing for lunch. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You were so brave to get up in front of that big group. Good job.
Could we take a picture with them as we use?